All right, so I've been asked how to do hook grip and kind of questions around the hook grip. So I mean, I don't deadlift off the ground that often anymore. I've kind of gone over to straps and doing RDLs a lot, but I have had quite a lot of success with the hook grip. I know there was a point in time where I just didn't know what to do with my grip. The over-under wasn't serving me well. I didn't feel like it was a good grip, predominantly because of helicoptering. If you don't know what helicoptering is, it's basically when you have a grip on the bar with one hand over, one hand under, and you start pulling, there's a tendency to kind of go towards the arm that's pronated or the one that's over. And so as you're pulling, your bar starts to kind of, if you can see this, your bar starts to kind of do this. And it doesn't seem like a big problem, right? But it actually is, because there's a torque force that's kind of a rotational force that's being placed upon the spine. That's because of one shoulder is able to kind of like contract the lat a little bit better than the other, and that kind of difference in leverage makes it also spin. A lot of guys don't have that problem, but I was having that problem, and I didn't want to continue on with that because I just saw down the road I would have some sort of pelvic problems, spinal problems because of the forces which are not equally distributed throughout the body. One option is to go one rep like this, another rep like this. But I just felt like that was really uncomfortable, and so I started strapping up for a period, and then I just thought I'd man up and learn how to do hook grip. Now, hook grip is a Olympic weightlifting grip. You will see it on the circuit of the Olympic weightlifters. Basically, every single guy does this, and girl. What it is basically using your thumb as a, I guess, strap or an implement to grab onto. So traditionally, the double overhand grip is basically like this, where your thumb kind of goes over your index finger. The reason why this is not a good grip is because the bar will start to roll, and that is basically what we're trying to fight here. The bar will start to roll, and what will happen is your hands will start unwinding, and you'll end up like this, and then you will just basically drop the bar. There's nothing you can do about that. Unless you basically get a welded bar which doesn't have any collars that spin. I guess that's the only way you can prevent that. But even then, it's not a good option if you're thinking about maximal loads in the deadlift. So the hook grip. The way I've done it, the way I've been taught how to do it, is to do it like this, and I'll just tell you how I've learned it. So you basically put your hands like this on the bar. Hopefully this makes sense. I put this box here because this is kind of one of those standard bars, not the Olympic weightlifting bars. It's just a little lighter for me, and I can explain it to you. So you are looking from underneath. So you are the ground. I'm kind of the sky, and so this is what it's going to look like from the ground up. So you pick your width, whatever you want to do with the grip. It doesn't really matter. Even if you're snatching or you're doing clean and jerk or you're just doing a deadlift, it doesn't really matter. You put your webbing of your thumb and your index finger kind of on the bar, and then you run your thumb not kind of at the ground, but like parallel with the bar. That's a really good point to emphasize. So you are not wrapping your finger kind of like downwards. You are running the finger along the bar. I'll explain why that's really important. It just basically saves your skin. But anyway, you run the thumb along the bar, and then you place your index finger and your ring and your middle finger kind of like on kind of like the nail around there. You kind of grab it like that, okay? Don't grab it like this or whatever. Kind of put both of your fingers, the index and the middle finger on like this. So you look like that, right? That's kind of how you look, right? So that's what you're doing, like that. And then the other fingers just kind of like go next to the thumb and grab like that. Now, when you are placing your thumb on the bar, don't just jam your webbing into the bar completely and then run the thumb along the bar. The reason is because you will have a bunch of excess skin inferior to the bar or underneath the bar. And so when you start to pull, you will have kind of like bunched up skin in this portion here, and that will kind of make a callus, and it will be really uncomfortable. It's going to be like a squeezing kind of sensation. So when you are putting your thumb, when you're putting your hand into the bar, put it just so it kind of, the bar rests in that little groove where the knuckle is, right? So you don't want the bar kind of jammed up in here, and then when you start to lift, everything pushes down this way. You're putting the bar here, just like where the little groove is, where the bone is. That's just going to save your skin, because I initially was having a lot of trouble because I was really jamming the finger in, trying to get more length to my thumb, and then I would kind of like have all this excess skin kind of like in there, and that was causing me a lot of grief. So the way I like to do it is I just like to kind of feel the bar, feel that little notch, the knuckle, and then as soon as you kind of dip in, that's where you are. See that little dip? So you're running your thumb along, and then there's a little dip. As soon as you feel that dip, you stop there. Don't continue going forward, because that going forward is going to bunch your skin up when you start to pull. You want to set up your hook grip so there's absolutely no movement throughout the whole lift. You do not want to have a scenario where you set your grip up, and then as you start to pull, there is motion in your hand, because that motion in your hand is just going to grind your skin. It's going to make it a lot more difficult. So the thing is, when you're setting up, you're taking the slack out of the bar, like we're all taught with the deadlift. You're not snatching at the bar, like I see some people do that. You do that, just think about the ligaments and the tendons in your body. They don't like snatching at anything. You pull the weight into the, you pull the slack out of the bar, and you kind of like pre-tensile your body. And as you're doing that, you're setting up your grip. And so you know that throughout the lift, there's not going to be any movement in your hand, right? So that's you want it completely solid. Another thing about placing your thumb, if you grab the bar all the way deep into your hand like this, when you start to pull, there will be some movement, because you've put the bar at the roof and not at the floor of your grip. Put it at the floor of your grip, like that. The other thing is rotation of the hand. It goes to the same point I was just talking about. You don't want any movement. So if you grab the bar like this, as you know, to maximize the length of your thumb, the moment you start to pull, you're going to have rotation this way. So set your hand up from the get-go to be how it's going to be when you start pulling. For me, it took a couple of months. Be prepared for pain. It's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to think to yourself, thumbs are not designed to take this much abuse. All of your thoughts and concerns are valid, because I had the same problems. I couldn't believe that girls, 16-year-old girls, were snatching whatever kilos with no pain, with no strapping. And here I was at mid-20s having trouble with a 60-kilo deadlift in my hand. So I persevered, and eventually the thumb became basically, I don't know whether it became numb or whether I became really good at positioning my hand. It just wasn't a factor at all. Pain wasn't a factor. Grip wasn't a factor. I could basically grip anything. Obviously, at the start, if you want, you can start strapping your thumb. I found that tedious and time-consuming. So what I recommend you guys do, here we go again. You guys are going to be like, oh man, this guy just keeps hammering the same points away. I went through a period where I was deadlifting every day. But not what you think. I wasn't going to a training max. I wasn't going to a max. I was just basically going up to like 60 kilos. As soon as I walk in the gym, get my hook grip in and just do like 60 kilos for a bunch of sets. And the whole point wasn't to train my deadlift. It was to train my grip. And after I think a month or two of doing that, it wasn't like every single day, but I was trying to do it every single day. You know what I mean? It wasn't kind of like this religious. But after like 1 or 2 months, I developed a really kick-ass grip, and I think I pulled 220. I pulled my max with the hook grip, and there was no rotational force of the spine. There was nothing. I never even thought about my grip. It was just basically set my grip, and all I was thinking is back positioning and where my knees were and where my hips were. That's the amount of confidence I had with the hook grip. So if you've never tried it, try it. I do not recommend you doing the hook grip for rep work. So if you're doing anything more than kind of like doubles or triples, I wouldn't recommend it. I still found that a little bit painful, because the moment you lower the bar to the floor, there's going to be vibration on the floor, and that vibration will kind of upset your grip. And so unless you want to reset your grip every single time and get it solid, you will get movement in your hands. The movement in your hands is what causes most of the damage. If you really set your fingers into the grooves, you will have no pain and you will have no deterioration of skin. But the moment the bar starts moving in your hand, it's just basically a grinder, because there's a lot of weight in your hand, and now and there's knurling of the bar, and you just basically cheese grating your skin. So you want to lock that in. So I basically just did singles. I did singles. For anything above that, I use straps, and that kind of worked for me. I know on the web you'll see people using, all sorts of things, but I think for the sake of your skin, just use straps for rep work. But yeah, I hope that's helped. That's my perspective on how I kind of got around the hook grip. I'm not an Olympic weightlifter. I'm not a master at this, but I'm just giving you my anecdote of how I kind of came to learn the hook grip, and it's kind of worked for me. Hope it's helped. Cheers, guys.